Hey everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So today's video is a continuation of the symbols that we find in tarot and how that relates to the cards they turn up in. So I believe this is part 5. I'm not sure how many parts this is going to be because there's been more than I anticipated already. But I finally got a chance to have a sit down with these decks in particular, with my decks, and finally go through the symbols with you again. We had a bit of an interruption in between there, but we can get back to it now. So today's symbol, we're kicking it off with leaves. So leaves are about growth, change and cycles as well, and shedding the old, because that's what the trees are shedding. They're shedding their leaves when we move through the season. So cycles, those changes, the shedding of the old. And then also the sort of like evolution of your life, or evolution of nature, and how evolution is natural, change is natural, growth is natural. It's not a bad thing, but it's inevitable, so don't resist it, That's essentially what leaves are symbolizing when you see those in your tarot cards. And we've got my most traditional deck here, although I still wouldn't quite call it traditional. And then we've also got 2 very alternative decks so that I can show you, the difference, if they're in there, if they're not in there, and how that changes the meaning. I won't go into all the cards, but the cards this does turn up in is the Hanged Man, the Empress, all of the Wand cards, of course, the 7, 9, 10, and King of Pentacles as well. So, of course, with the Hanged Man, change is required. This person needs to change their perspective to move forward. So in order to grow, they need to change. So it's about hitting a still point before the cycle continues, before that growth and journey continues. So that's why we have the leaves in these cards. So as you can see in this more traditional card, they're heavily surrounded by leaves. Whereas in my more alternative deck, there's just a couple, And over here, there are none. So this could mean a few different things. It could mean that change in this situation isn't going to come naturally. It can also mean that if this is the continuation of a cycle, perhaps it's not going to move forward. So there's lots of ways you can interpret this differently. And next up we have the Empress. So she's really in tune with nature. This is definitely all about growth and cycles, shedding the old, working with nature. That's sort of the natural harmony with life, with evolution. So of course there's going to be loads of different bits of leaves in there. In these 2 decks, however, there's like a little bit in this one. If you can see at the back, there's a couple trees there with some leaves, and there as well. And we've got a few little like reeds and things. So it's like a little bit more subtle, but over here there's absolutely none. So maybe this Empress is a little bit more clinical, a little bit more out of touch with nature. Maybe her power and her authority doesn't come from that like gentle, nurturing energy. Maybe it comes from a stricter energy. Like the unyielding side of nature, the unrelenting side. So there's lots of different ways that you can interpret leaves in all of these cards. And of course when we're seeing leaves turn up in all of the wands, because it turns up in every card in the wand suit, when you think about it, what are wands? They're the fire sign. They're the sort of fire element of the tarot deck. They're the action cards, as well as the inspiration, the creativity, that fire. So it's all about the evolution and the changes and the growth of your creative pursuits, of your actions, basically of the sort of like the fire in your belly, the inspiring parts of life, how it's growing, evolving, progressing really positively. And as I said, leaves also come up in the 7, 9, 10 and King of Coins as well. So with that, what we're seeing here is elements of change happening. So the coins, the pentacles, they are about a connection with nature. They're also about money. They're also about like physical material things. So your physical world rather than your your intellectual world or your spiritual world or, your dream world. It's more about what you create like physically here and now. So when we're seeing leaves in the 7 of Coins, this is about growth, of course. So the leaves are there to support that. And then when we see it in the Nine of Coins, it's about connection, because she's building her wealth from the ground up. She's very connected to everything. There's also always like a little bird with her, showing that connection to nature. So it's about the evolution of life as well as the harmony with it, the harmony of nature. And when we see leaves in the Ten of Coins, of course, if we're thinking about leaves as a cycle, as a continuation, it's that continuation of money circling round. And in the King of Coins, the leaves are essentially there to show that the money, the bounty is plentiful, okay? And it's going to continue to grow, it's going to continue to repopulate and go round and round and keep building and building and building. So that's where the leaves come in there. Kit got startled because this crystal like started floating towards her while she was sleeping. It like slipped down the bed and she got scared. So she's on the table now. Amazing, so our second symbol is lightning, which only turns up in one card in the tarot, which is the Major Arcana card, the Tower. And lightning represents so many different things, mostly of course to do with common tower themes, so things like sudden change or enlightenment, because it's like coming from the sky to you. There's also like revelations, realizations, swift insights or swift endings, and also transformative energy as well. So of course that's to do with the Tower card, because here it's like this this person or this ghost is being like evicted out of the tower. So it's a sudden change, a sudden realization that the place they thought they were comfortable or safe in is not the place they thought it was. But sometimes, depending on how the Tower card is depicted, it can convey how bad like that lightning strike is, how tumultuous that change is. So here in this Tower card, the two lightning strikes are coming out of this eye in the sky, which is showing enlightenment. So it's showing like a way out of this burning building, because the person hasn't been evicted from this building, so whoever's in there is still in there. So the enlightenment is guidance on how to save yourself from this situation. Over here, the lightning doesn't even touch the tower. It's somewhere off in the distance. It doesn't impact them, which implies it's not necessarily a change. It's more like a revelation, a swift insight, you know, a glass-shattering moment. Whereas here, the tower is tilted, there's two lightning bolts, one lightning bolt has struck the tower and people are falling out of the tower. So it's very tumultuous, very fiery. So there's this big, big change, big catastrophic change, big transformative energy, because a new energy needs to come in now. A shift is happening here. Okay, so our next symbol is the lily, and this turns up in a few cards in tarot. So it turns up in the Magician, which is the only major arcana it turns up in. And in the minor arcana, it turns up in the Two of Wands, the Ace, Six, and Page of Cups, as well as the Ace of Pentacles. And lilies can be about purity, renewal. You can also think of it as spiritual awakening, reconnecting with the inner self, and embracing your true essence as well, being who you truly are, especially if you think of the history of Lily. Essentially, it's about being you, that spiritual awakening, that purity. So firstly, when it turns up in the Magician, which I don't believe it does in any of my current cards on the table, but when it does, this is definitely about reconnecting with the inner self and embracing your true essence, because the Magician or the Creator, whichever it's called in your deck, is tapping back into themselves, the resources they have inward, to utilize that and manifest what they want outwardly. So they're going inward to take all of those things and use them as resources. Alright, so we've got one lily in the Ace of Coins here. So for the Ace of Coins, of course, this is about like a new opportunity for like money, growth, that kind of thing. So this is about renewal, but it can also be a little bit of reconnecting with your inner self as well as spiritual awakening, because this idea is coming from the clouds, and clouds, as we know, are like kind of like a bridge between you and the divine, because it's messages from above. So it's almost like this idea or this new opportunity for growth is coming from a spiritual place, from like a divine place, divine intervention, if you will. So that can also be what the lily is reaffirming there. And if it's not there, then I would take that to mean that this isn't spiritual intervention. This is your idea, like you making this, you know, your own. And when we've got the Two of Wands here, you can actually see some lilies down there. So with the Two of Wands, it's like those revelations, those insights, seeing the world for what it is, coming in with that lily imagery. And in the Ace of Cups, we do have some lilies down here, some water lilies. So again, this is about the self, opening up to the self, because it's about self-love in a way. But definitely purity, renewal, and spiritual intervention as well, with the dove, with the fact that we're having this renewed state, with the fact that this is an ace as well. And the spiritual element is also coming from the dove coming down as well. We've also got a lily here in the Six of Cups. And we also have a lily, or a few lilies actually, here in all of these Six of Cups. Whereas over here, these are flowers all in different stages of bloom. So this is definitely that purity, that innocence, because this is a card of like nostalgia, that sweetness, that childhood innocence energy, that youth. So that's where the lilies are coming in. You would also usually have a lily in your Page of Cups, which none of mine currently have. But it's definitely spiritual awakening for sure, as well as embracing your true essence, like stepping into who you are. If it's not there, if there's no lily there in the Page of Cups, it loses some of its pure innocent energy when you're interpreting it. Okay, so next up, our next symbol is the lion. So of course, we all know what lions represent. Typically it's courage, strength, leadership, that sort of thing, kind of like harnessing your inner power, taking charge of your own path. So it's your strength, you know, which is of course why the cards that is associated with is the Strength card, the Wheel of Fortune, the World, the King and Queen of Wands, and the Two of Cups as well. So starting off with the Wheel of Fortune, here's our lion, and then we also have another one here. Can't really see this one as well, but it's right there. And that's because it takes strength to stand up against and be courageous against the change that is inevitable in your life. You know, wherever the world takes you, it could be good luck, it could be bad luck, but either way it's change, and change can be really uncomfortable. Sometimes we can resist it if we're comfortable where we are, so you need the lion to be strong to that. Next up we have the Strength card, and over here we have a lion on both cards. However, on this card we don't. And again, it's about your inner strength, who you are on the inside, that courageous side of yourself, and knowing when to utilize that, when to use it, when to be courageous, when to be strong and stand up for yourself. And always having that as your arsenal, as the thing in the back of your pocket to use when needed. Whereas here, the absence of the lion implies that there's not a lot of courage, and the way you'll be healing is more through like gentleness or through taking it easy rather than like being strong and bearing through it, you know. We also have the lion turning up again in the World card down here because it's quite similar to like the Wheel of Fortune card. This is more about leadership, harnessing your inner power, taking control of your life, because the World card is you've completed this phase of your life, you're the leader, you've accomplished it, you're the expert here. Whatever this is, if your journey was to find out how to be emotionally mature, you're now the leader in that, you're an expert in that. And that lion represents that leadership, and also that inner strength and taking charge and leading your own path, because now your world is your oyster. Next up we have the Two of Cups, so we've got a lion here, as well as a lion here. And the lion is essentially there to show that to love is to be strong, because you're kind of putting it all at risk to spread something so positive and joyous in the world. It's kind of like if you keep like adopting pets, but you know one day you're going to lose them, and that's like really heartbreaking, but it's so strong and powerful of you to do it anyway, because you know that you're giving them a good life and giving them a life they might not have gotten otherwise at your own sacrifice. So it's kind of about that like give and take and the strength it takes to be in a connection or to have love and share love for others. Next up we've got the King and Queen of Wands. So there are no lions in my decks on the table right now, but there is a little cat here in this Queen of Wands, which you could take as a little lion, you know, a little mini one, little baby one. But yes, usually they would turn up in these cards as well, representing that leadership. that leadership quality that these two people have, that strength, that courage, because they're the wand signs, you know, they're the wand king and queen. So they're the action takers, the fiery reds, you know, they're the Aries, the Sagittarius, the Leos. So essentially it's just harnessing that red energy, that fiery red energy in this card, that leadership quality, that strength, that courage. Where there's an absence of that, maybe they're not a fiery leader. Maybe they're more of a passive one. Okay, so our next symbol is the moon. And that comes up in a few cards. So it comes up in the High Priestess, the Chariot, as well as, of course, the Moon card. And then it also comes up in the Eight of Cups and the Two of Swords. So only 5 cards out of the whole tarot deck, which is crazy because I feel like moons are like a major part of it. But anyway, they of course represent cycles, going through phases, your intuition and your subconscious, the ebbs and flows of life and your emotions because of the waning, the waxing, and also mystery, you know, because of the element of the unseen part of the moon. So in the High Priestess, she's holding a moon here in my more traditional deck. Down here there's a moon floating on like a river, and over here there's a big moon sort of rising behind her. So the moon here is always like a crescent moon, which is showing that the High Priestess is in a particular phase in life at a certain stage. It also shows that she is tapped into her intuition with the moon there. There's no hidden like unseen bit because we're not seeing the other side of the moon. It's in its crescent form rather than being like a full moon with part of it blacked out. So she sees everything. She's seen all parts of things. She's really tapped into her subconscious, her intuition. With my chariots, I'm not seeing a moon. However, I am seeing in this one, there's more of like a reference to it with all the stars. And then down here we do have this witch symbol, which is 2 crescent moons with 1 full moon as well. And here it's definitely trusting your intuition. It's going full steam ahead without knowing the mysteries that lie in front of you. And where there's no moon, it could be that there's no mystery. You know exactly where you're going. There's no sort of chance or risk there. Next up, we've got the lovely moon card, which is in this crescent form, but you are seeing this other mysterious side to it as well. And then in this one, you've also got all of the phases of the moon. So in this card, I would represent that as you hitting all the phases of a transformation occurring, of you seeing everything, eventually all mysteries being revealed to you, all unseen sides being revealed to you. Deep intuition in this one. Deep connection to yourself, your subconscious. And here there's more of a mystery element because part of the moon is hidden with these ones. Next up, we've got the Two of Swords with a little tiny crescent moon in the back. And this is essentially showing that, because the person in the Two of Swords can't see the situation for what it is, it's a reminder to trust their intuition and be guided by that, but also it's a reminder of the mystery of this situation. You know, you're not going to know the outcome. You just have to make a decision. And next up, we've got the Eight of Cups there. So it's appearing different in each of these. We've got like a crescent moon, but then over here we've got that sort of full moon face with the crescent in there. Again, it's about trusting your intuition, following yourself, following your inner guidance, and not really knowing what the future holds, because in the Eight of Cups, you're walking away from something that doesn't serve you, that doesn't align with your standards or your values in life, and you're saying, even though I don't know what the future holds, I know it can do better for me than this, and you're trusting you're trusting that inner wisdom, and you're walking ahead anyway, and you're entering this new phase, this new cycle in your life. Okay, so our next symbol is mountains, and I just had to show you this. Okay, these are all the cards that mountains come up in. That's crazy. That's like almost half the deck. So I'm not getting out all of the cards in my other 2 decks as well, because I would just be here all day. So to not do that and to use my time wisely, I've only done it for this deck, so we're only going to go through this one. But all in all, mountains come up in, prepare yourself, the Fool card, the Emperor, the Lovers, the Hermit, Temperance, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, and Judgment. And then the Ace, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 of Wands, the 4, 8, Knight of Cups, the Ace, 2, 5, 10, Page of Swords, and the Ace, 7, Page, Knight, Queen of Pentacles. Crazy, I know. And the The mountain represents, of course, challenges. It's a big obstacle for you to climb and overcome. It can also be about perspectives as you stand on different parts of the mountain and see things differently. Aspiration, it's a goal of yours. It's a place you want to get to. It can represent overcoming those obstacles or those challenges and gaining a broader view once you're at the top as well. So, in the fall here, there's a little like mountain cliff that they're about to walk off from, which is going to mark the new beginning for them, the start of this journey, the embarkment towards this thing, and there are lots of challenges and obstacles ahead. So that's what that's representing there. If there are no mountains in your full card, then maybe there are no challenges or obstacles. Next up, we've got the Emperor. And there's a few mountains in the back there. And this can be two things. One, as you're a leader, there can be challenges, of course. You get people, challenging you, questioning your right to be in that position of authority or influence or power. But also, you need to have the right perspective on things. Because if you're coming in being a tyrant, no one's going to respect you as a leader. So instead, if you have the right perspective, the right outlook, and you value the people that look up to you as equally as you value yourself, or even more than you value yourself, that's the true spirit of a leader. So that can be the mountains in there. Next up, we've got the Lovers. Now, there are no mountains in my deck, but of course that represents those challenges. But here in the Lovers, there are none. There aren't those challenges. The Hermit is always standing on the mountain here. So this little piece here, it is a mountain, but it's also like basically a little piece of island as well on its own, sort of separated from everyone. Usually it's like a piece of ice to show that you're kind of stuck and alone, and you need to get a new perspective if you want to see your way out of this situation. So that's what that's representing there. Next up, we have Temperance, and those are all the mountains down there. And Temperance is about balance and harmony, and this is where the mountains come in, because the Temperance angel is flying above these mountains. It has a brand new perspective. It can see things for what they are. It can see clearly. And that allows it to overcome any obstacles that may stand in its way. So this is new perspectives and just not even having obstacles as well. Next up, we've got the Tower card with lots of mountains and rocks in there, sort of keeping the tower in place, which shows that this is an obstacle, a challenge. This is a hard thing to overcome. We've got some mountains there in the distance of the Star card, which represents aspirations in this card. What is it that you're aspiring to achieve, to accomplish? What is your goal? With the stars as well. And again, we've got little pieces of mountain here and then some over there in the Moon card. So it's about those phases. You're entering different stages. You're here, but you want to climb that one. So again, we're getting aspirations as an undertone here, as well as sort of future challenges and a current perspective on a situation that will change later. We also have some mountains on the Judgment card, big challenges in the future, big challenges lying ahead. We also have some mountains here and there in the back of the Queen of Pentacles. So these are the aspirations, the future challenges. You're getting it, you get what I'm saying. So essentially that's what it will mean in almost all of the Pentacle cards. In the Page of Swords, we've also got some mountains in the back, and these are mostly about perspective, because with the swords, you kind of have to change your outlook, because it's about how easily manipulatable the mind is, and how you kind of have to stay strong to see things clearly. So when it crops up in the swords, that's usually what this is about, and the challenge of overcoming that as well. Then we've also got the Nine of Swords here. And as you can see in the wake of this person, there's loads of mountains in the distance, essentially representing all the challenges they have overcome, all the work and progress they've done already, all the hard work they've put into it. And then here we've got the Ace of Cups with some mountains off in the distance as well. So again, those themes of perspective, future aspirations as well, with something new beginning here, are all coming back into play, as well as future challenges or future need to change your perspective as well. Okay, so those were all of our symbols for today, for part 5 of all the symbols in tarot and how they turn up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about symbols, there will be more series to this. There will be more episodes to this series. And I also have some previous ones as well. I think I have 4 videos previous to this one. So if you're interested in learning more about tarot, you can go and check those out now. But if not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because I post tarot readings and tarot related videos every Tuesday and Thursday every week on TìandTarot. See you next time. Bye.